Hello, thank you for joining me again. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. These are some of the radios that I'm going to be working on over the next sort of few days. As you can see at the moment, I've got wired up this Harrier CBX. This is a 40 channel UK CB, which is one of my favourites, partially down to the fact that the quality of the audio. And I think if you've seen my previous videos when I was on Canic Chase, you probably saw that one being used, and I do have a fondness for that one. Handheld, realistic, TRC1007 there. These are some other radios that I'm going to be working on as well, and I'll explain to you shortly what I shall be doing. Good radios, these. I've been having a sort out with my power supplies and everything else in here, and you'll see what I'm working on here as well. This is the Intech. Which one's this? This is the M795. That's the one I'm going to be working on straight away. I like to have everything able to work just by plugging in and playing straight away. I'm not that keen on having to have various different types of connectors and such like. And the one thing that I've started to do is wire things using these Anderson, I think these are called Anderson Powerpoles. These particular ones are rated at 30 amps, and rather than having to twist the wires around and connect them to like these banana sockets here, if I can have a lead such as this that's always plugged in, that I can just plug in any radio that I want and it will automatically be configured and work straight away, then that's what I want to do. The same sort of idea I had a few years ago with my radios were these sort of plugs. Now these I got from Maplin's Electronics, and it's the same idea. I started to wire all my radios with the same sort of things. It's very difficult one-handed, but there you go, I've just about done it. You've got your 2 pins there, and the idea is that every socket, every power lead would have the same lead on, same plug on, like so. So that would effectively work on any of these radios, including this one. And as you can see with this one here, I've got the same thing in principle. It's wired up, ready to go. But the problem was these plugs are quite expensive and aren't commonly used. So that's why I've decided to move over to these Andersons, and I'm going to show you now how I work them. Okay, so over to the workbench then. What I have is the CB radio. To make it a little bit easier, let me just take the microphone out like so. And also this microphone of mine's getting in the way. Let me just unplug this for a second. Okay, how's that? Okay, so here we are. So this is the radio that I'm going to be working on today. Now I want to take off this plug here, and I want to go onto the Anderson Powerpoles. This is what I've got them in. I got these off eBay. It cost me about £3, I think it was, and you get a selection of 30 amp little Powerpoles in there. And I have to say I'm quite impressed with them so far. They seem to give a lot better connection than these. You have it's got a firmer grip to them, and it just generally seems to hold it tighter. So first thing we're going to do is to cut this plug off, and then I'm going to wire in the plugs. So we want a positive and a negative, okay, which is a red and a black, and then we need 2 of these little spade, or these little connector things here. These are very, very small. You can see the top end is where you actually solder or crimp the cable in, and then they're kind of shaped like so. And then what you do, you just put them straight in to there, and that gives you your connector. So the first things first, we're going to strip down these cables here. Now you'll probably notice that there's no inline fuse. You should always use an inline fuse. Okay. My inline fuse is going to be on the other lead, which I'm in the process of making up. So this, for the moment, is safe. So don't worry about that. First things first, once I've done that, using my little helping hands, very useful little tool this, I'm going to just tin the edges, tin the cables. Now I've got my variable soldering iron adjusted to 400 degrees and that's a beautiful temperature. Just does it nicely and it doesn't melt away the insulation either. So we're just tinning the wires very gently here, just to help make contact. Okay, take those out, and then the first one, it doesn't matter whether it's positive or the negative, makes no odds at this moment in time. You can crimp these incidentally. Some people would say it's probably a bit easier to crimp. I prefer not to, I prefer to solder them, and I think you get a better connection. Well, that's just preference at the end of the day. And the idea is that you want to completely fill this up with solder. So I'm going to melt the solder in, like so. Get it nice and keeping the soldering iron there, taking whichever one you want. It makes no difference when you start off with. I'm going to do the live, heat that one up, like so, and put it in. Give it a couple of seconds to cool down and remove, and that's now completely embedded inside. We're going to do the same with the next one. Heats up inside, apply a bit of solder, keep it to the temperature I need, keep it in, keep it nice and hot. Cable, melt that down a bit. Okay, and in that goes. Reheat, blow for a second, get rid of the smoke, and there we go. We've now got the two wires with the two lugs on. Okay, now they're very, very hot, so give those a second to cool down. Now, if we have a look, and I shall just fetch it over now. This is the lead that I have connected to my power supply, okay? These just twist on, and once they're on, I won't have any further need to take these off again, because anything that I want to plug into the power supply will go straight to these Anderson connectors. So this is going to be the main supply. So you want to make sure you get these two plugs here the right way round. Now they slide in and out, they're not permanently locked in unless you want them to be. So therefore there's no danger of getting it wrong or ruining them. So you just get them like so and squeeze them down and they just kind of lock into place there. And then just to check, that's how they're going to be, and they will just pop into there to make this selection. Okay, so that's how they are. So you get the red. Let me just adjust the camera slightly for this one. The camera this. Apologies. Obviously that's the red one. So the red one goes in like so. Goes in about halfway. I get a little screwdriver and I pop it in. Quite straight. Try that. Then nice and level. And it clicks into place like so. Some water over, just make sure that's, there you go, it clicks into place. And then the same with the neutral, the black one, fits in halfway, and then you push the rest in, and then that's clicked into place. So now when this connects to the lead, red to red, black to black. You can't get this wrong, it won't fit in any other way, so you're not going to run the danger of getting cross polarity. It'll only fit in one way. So therefore this lead, which connects to a power supply, will then automatically be able to be transferred or transfer one radio to another. So the next thing I need to do then is to wire my PL259 plug onto the coax. This is going to the external aerial that I've mounted today at the side of the house. This is my way of wiring a plug, okay? There are various different methods and ways, and I'm sure there'll be someone out there who will argue and probably say the way that I'm doing it's not a very good way, okay? But at the end of the day, this is just me showing you how I do it. I'm not telling you this is the best way. The first thing I find best to do though is to dismantle the plug, and then taking the outer sleeve off, and first thing putting that onto the cable, because the amount of times I've wired a plug and I've forgotten to put this on, okay, so it's not funny. So let's get that out of the way first. Then you want to get this end put on. So what I do, I very carefully with a craft knife or electrical installation cables, electrical snips, whatever, is just cut some of the outer sheathing off. I normally go for just over an inch. Okay, very, very gentle on the outside, and then I just very carefully break it like so, just cutting where needed. You don't want to cut through the copper railing inside. You don't want to do any damage whatsoever to the cabling, and then that just pulls off like so. You don't want to completely undo all this braiding here. What I find best, if you just push it, manipulate it, play around with it a little bit, and then finally give it a bit of a push, you can actually fold it over itself like so. Can you see that there, what I've done? I just pulled it back over itself. That needs to be in place, okay? It's very important you don't damage the integrity of that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave probably about half of that. Okay, so the sensor cable, I'm going to just cut the insulation off. I'm going to trim it around about there. And the same thing as before, very carefully, just go around the perimeter. Okay, I can see there, that just pulls off. Give it a twist. So you've got something similar to that. Again, with your helping hands, very helpful. Soldering iron. Now you don't want to keep a soldering iron too long onto this, because if you do, what you'll find, is that you're going to melt the insulation to the cable, and that will affect the impedance of the cable, and you don't want to do that. So starting with a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron, on the end of the cable, away from the insulation, just melt it and then just work it down. You don't want too much solder on, but you want enough to be able to firm it up and to help it melt when you've got your final plug on. So we've got that tinned, we've got the plug now. The plug's all nice and clean in the end. It's a second hand plug. I tend not to throw them away, I just resolder them and reuse them. You're going to very carefully poke that over the side, okay, and then you're effectively going to be screwing it in, and you can actually see, if you look at the centre of the plug, you can just see the white of the inner cable. Yeah, keep on twisting it. It's screwing itself on very nicely, good tight connection, and if you've measured it right, you should just get the centre cable coming through the tip of the plug like so. That's beautiful, I'm happy with that. Now again, you're going to hold this into your helping hands, and the idea is now with this centre of the PL259, you want to completely fill that up with solder as much as you can, again without melting away any of the copper insulation in the centre. So we're going to get it at the right angle for us. Melt a bit of solder on the end of the iron, touch it on the end, start it melting away, and then just gradually feed, not too much, we don't want to overflow, we're just going to feed the solder into it. And you will find that if you do this properly and correctly, the solder will automatically start to form inside, which it is doing nicely. So there we go, another little bit there, smooth off the edge, and there we go, that's done. Now sometimes if it's a little bit too long, the centre cable will actually stick out the end, you just need to cut it away, but on this one there's no need to, it's perfect length. Okay, that copper cable there you can either cut off or leave on. I tend to leave it on. just marking up my tape, and we're just going to now put some tape on. This will help keep it into place, and it'll help prevent interference of anything else, metal touching, shorting it out or whatever. There we go. And then somewhere down the line, you get the outer part and screw it in, and there you go. And that should be a perfect connection for your PL259 with your coax. So now let's connect this up to the rig and try it out and do a check on the swell. Okay, so this is the radio that I'm going to be tuning in, or wiring up to the antenna at least. It's the Harrier CBX, quite a few years old this one. It's a 2781, so it works on the old UK bands, which is still fairly active in these areas. So now I've got my lead done with the buddy poles. They just plug in like so. That can be out of the way. The coax that I've just made up, I'm going to plug into the rear of the swell meter, like that. And then we're going to power up. We're going to go into channel 1 first of all. Make sure there's no one on. Don't want to be disturbing them whilst we're transmitting up. So first thing we need to do then is to put the swell meter onto forward. Key your mic in. Okay, once we're happy that that's set to the set, put on to reflect, and as you can see it's approximately 1.1, so that's a good swell. That's well balanced, well tuned in for channel 1. If we go on to channel 40, we know that the forward is already set. Okay, go on to reflect, and we've got about 1 to 3. So that is very good. I'm very pleased with that. That's tuned in nicely. So then we know that it's safe to use. We're not going to be pulling any power back into the rig as we're trying to transmit. So we should be quite set. If we have a quick look, scan around. This evening is really bad weather. I would imagine we're going to pick up a lot of atmospheric conditions and interference. We'll scan around. Let's go on to 19. 19 for a Roger. Hello. Okay.
Whichever, right? We'll go there.
There we go. So yeah, so that's working. So as you can see now, with my other radios, I need to do exactly the same. Get all these radios wired in with these little Anderson poles, and then it'll make life a little bit easier. So I hope that's been a little bit of help to you at least. I've shown you a few tips there maybe. Like I say, I'm not here to show you or to teach you how to do these what I would say sort of basic things. It's just how I do them, and if you know of a better way then please let me know. We've got good connections there, we've got good signal coming through to the radios, and a job well done. I've got quite a few more radios to do. I've got another 5 radios here to do at least. Portable battery packs, I've got one here. This is a 12 volt 3.3 amp hour battery, lead acid battery. That what I've done, I've just connected this row of 12 volts cigar or 12 volt accessory outlets onto the top, which is great for cigar lighter applications. And the idea also is on these 2 terminals on the battery, again I'm going to put some wire in and little buddy pole connectors on there. So again, that will very easily connect to a radio. And if all your applications and all your radio equipment, so they've all got the same connectors and same plugs on, then it's just going to be an awful lot easier when you come to swap and change things around. I do like to use all these radios. I've got some of the radios here that are multi-band, which you know, you've got more frequencies on. So it's nice to be able to just change your radio over to use those. And when I'm just using the basic UK CB channels, which I don't use CB that much, to be honest, but when I do, I can use the old faithful Harrier, which I'm very fond of. So that's the idea in principle, and it's the same with me amateur radios, me dual banders. Again, with the same sort of connectors on, I can use the same power supplies as well, and it's just an awful lot easier. Connectors into the car as well, if you have those connectors already in, it's just a lot easier, it's ready to go, isn't it? So that's it. So I hope you found that useful. I'm going to continue here now, tidying up for a bit, having a bit of a play, and get this video edited and uploaded. So any questions, please email me, PM me, like if you like, and subscribe. It'd be great to have more subscribers, more viewers, and catch me again soon. Thank you very much. Bye bye.